Good, I'm good.
Nice. Okay, so we're looking at session number 3 here, what it looks like.
Yeah, yeah. It's been a long journey, for sure. Yeah. I think our first session, I was still working on CRA. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
I checked the picture like 235, mainly kind of muling it up, I guess. Compensation stuff.
Yeah, yeah. I started pushing hard with the compensation, actually. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. As a fake arcane has been with me the whole journey.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that's been a jump start if we ever had one, right?
Yeah, for real. Um, yeah. I guess we can get kind of into it.
Yeah,
Just
sure.
because I need to pass out soon, probably.
Yeah, I don't want to keep you super long. Yeah, go for it.
Um, but I guess so. I'm in a weird spot right now because I'm trying to balance setting some like bossing mules up,
Mm-hmm.
and also my main secondary, which is the Hoyoung that you'll see attached.
Yep.
Um, and I have like this. It's not quite a conflict of interest, but it's like I have a party that I'm running hard will and hard lucid, and right we do like normal gloom too right now for the coins
Mm-hmm.
on the Kanna. And that's been going really well. We clear really consistently now. Like we've gotten tests down pat, and like we clear very comfortably.
Mm-hmm.
So like the Kanna doesn't need more damage. I'm like pretty confident about that.
Okay.
But the Hoyoung could use a lot of love to like get up to doing normal lucid, normal will, range area. I also completed full set arcanes though on the Kanna. Like I have all the items now. And so it's like it's super tempting to like drop and invest money into it, but it's like it's not like 100% necessary, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then like I'm like taking a step back and I'm like looking at like what my long-term goals are.
Yeah, and your entire
the
account, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like I'd like to have like line of sight at least to Black Mage, sometime next year, right? That's my goal.
Okay.
Because right now it's like I don't know when the hell I'm gonna get to Black Mage, but like maybe next year sometime, it'll just be like, yeah, if I farm for like 6 months, like I can go Black Mage, right? Like, that'd be nice to like have like some sort of estimate at least, right?
Yeah, I think as a Kanna, a lot of times, I mean, you can get in earlier, but I think you try to have everyone in the party like around 270 at least, so you don't get massive damage reductions. But with the increasing power creep, it's not really necessary that you have like half the party over 275 to like, as long as everyone is okay with the learning process and gets better over time, then you can, it might be slightly longer runs, but you can get in there quite early. Like, yeah, the people in the past have had to be way further in because of, mainly because of the final damage reboot passive change, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess that brings me to like my first question here is that I'm not 100% confident that all of our party members will make it to Black Mage around that time. So I might need to like find another party. And I guess I was wondering, do you think being a Kanna or being a DPS would be more appealing at that point? Because there's probably no shot that I bring both characters up, right, to like flex it. Like I probably need to like commit soonish.
Spend enough time. Yeah, but yeah, you kind of have to pick which one you're going to push past, yeah. The Kanna is at, is like almost 260 now? Where are you at? 256.
It's almost 260. It's like 257.
Okay.
It's almost 257.
Okay. And the Hoyoung
I
was
still
at
gain like
240s.
25% an hour, or every 25% per WAP or whatever, so 2 hours.
Mm-hmm.
I think Lumina. Yeah, it's not bad. Obviously that's changing with the Kishin nerf, I guess, but I guess I'll have to start dropping totems or something.
Exactly. Then you're really going to. Then it's really going to be more like 2 trains trying to fuse into 1 track, right? Which is the the training track, the totem track. You're gonna have to decide where you commit those, yeah. And I think that's a good point that you do want to decide which one do you want to Black Mage on. I think both are viable. I think as Kanna you might have more competition, but because there just are more of them.
Okay, I think that was like my main question, right? Is like how common are?
Sometimes
I've been
people
playing a
will
lot
just
of
take.
Lost Ark recently, and like supports are super rare.
Okay.
So.
Well, there's a lot
I
of
guess
Kannas
that's-
right now because of the Kishin stuff, right? But a lot of the Kannas are like secondary Kannas or are farming Kannas that people kind of just run on because they can. And really like full-fledged main Kannas who like know exactly what they're doing and are actually built out and do a lot of damage themselves as well. Not saying that that's particularly rare, but if you can choose between one of those or just like someone's, you know, side Kanna who can, I guess, fill, you know, then you're gonna have priority there if your character is decently strong. But it comes down to like doing the BAs and seeing where everyone's at and seeing, you know, if you even have the damage potential to be able to do it. But with the barriers that people set now, you know, people just want to have decently quick runs. They know in the beginning it's going to be struggling, it's going to be practicing, but then eventually you want to have like the damage so that you can have like a half-hour run at most, and that you can be decently certain that everything is going to like clear within the half-hour buffs, because you don't want to have to start like rebuffing, you know, repopping things during the boss run, right? Because that gets really annoying.
Even though it's an hour-long run, you know.
Yeah, nobody really wants to be in there for an hour because, well, if you can be in there for an hour, then you probably just want to get stronger, because if you can be in there for that long, that must mean your mechanics are at least good enough to survive, which means that if you just get stronger, you can make the run significantly faster, because then you can commit more damage.
Right. Makes sense. Okay.
I can't really say that one or the other would be a better fit. I would just pick the one that you enjoy playing more, honestly. Also, your Kanna's closer, but...
Yeah, that's true. But it's like I can start like, you know, shifting course, right?
Yeah, what some people do is like they have their main character in a party, and then when they kind of want to move on to another party, or like you said, like switch, because the, you know, the levels of how far people push and how quickly people push is kind of changing. Maybe someone else is playing a side character, or if someone else is also taking another character, maybe they can take your place as a Kanna. You can take your Kanna's place with your Hoyoung, and a party can kind of keep doing the things that it's doing, and that way you can give your Hoyoung that space and also give your Kanna that space to move out and branch out without like quote unquote leaving the party behind entirely, right?
Right.
That's what you see a lot.
That was something we
that
floated
happens.
actually. Yeah, was me bringing like the Hoyoung in for like at least Lucid right now to start getting the
Exactly, yeah. Start,
droplets.
yeah, giving you the space to start accumulating those, because that's just a week by week process. That's another time gate, right? I mean, you have your symbol time gate and all that, but like the boss droplets is still a time gate as well.
Right. Yeah. I guess going along this like time gate stuff, sacred symbols. Starting to get close. I think I'll push during this event so I can buy out that shop on the Kanna.
Okay.
Because it doesn't really need anything else.
20k coins.
People were clearing Black Mage before Sacred Force was the thing, right?
Yeah, I believe so, yeah.
Okay.
Secret power. Before the final damage change, I mean, depending on how clean it all was, there were solos before the final damage change even.
Oh, okay. I just wasn't sure how much of a time gate I was like I was gonna push it during like the last event, but it ended up being like way too far for me.
Okay, yeah, a little bit too too overzealous.
To, like, actually like try to like hit it like ASAP or something, but maybe it's not too big a deal. I don't know.
It helped. It basically, once you get to that point where, you know, people are talking about like how much stat they have, if those numbers can seem very far off and completely impossible, that's probably because they have a lot of sacred power that they're relying on. And if you don't have access to that yet, then that's why it seems like, oh, someone's like, people are 60 K stat plus, even without potential badges. And you're like, that's impossible. It's like, well, that's, you know, the sacred power takes a bunch of that to its account. I don't know how much I have exactly, but yeah, it does definitely make a dent. And that's why it takes so long, and that's why it's so expensive to level up, because every single piece of stat that you're trying to gain anywhere is expensive and hard to get, so that is accordingly.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
Yeah, that'll give you some something to work for this to get the coins spent, right?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I also just recently found out that the event rings are per character, and not one per account. So I started having to cap on a bunch of other alts now.
Yeah.
Chaos ring is definitely worth, right? More or less.
I would say that the chaos, when it comes to like bang for your buck, the chaos ring is probably the lowest, I would say. Okay. But if you're able to afford it, then it is, you know, the together, it's probably the strongest one you can get because it's arguably a little bit weaker than the crit damage ring, but of course the eventual potentiality of it is better because you can reroll the potential, so you can get stronger eventually than the crit ring. The crit ring comes with the crit rate and the crit damage really, really strong immediately when you get it, and you don't have to like reroll with the stats. You don't have to tier it up. Like it's way more value on initial purchase, but the potential for growth is not there. So I think the ring is great for like for bossing mules that are going to be stuck in a certain part of the game, right, and that are not necessarily going to be going past that point, and especially if they need crit at all to be able to reach 100%, or if that can make it just all that much easier, then I think the crit rings are probably better value. But if it's a character that you're going to be playing longer and you just and you're okay with getting the coins, I usually tell people like, okay, you're just trying to fill the slot and just trying to get any ring because you don't have anything yet, well then get the synergy ring. Synergy ring is by far the best value. It's only 800, it's cheapest by far, and if you get it on 5 characters, it's the same value as the one that's 2000, so that's a no-brainer. If you're trying to get a little bit better, like a little bit better solid slots, then you could, I would say, go for the Master SS ring. Like it's a bit more expensive than the Cosmos and the Vengeful, but it does offer you some damage for it in return. But I think already that's kind of like a luxury pick, because if you're just trying to get rings that do the job, that give you some damage, they're eventually going to become drop and meso rings anyway on characters that you send further. But again, if it's a character that's going to be a bossing mule, maybe you want to go, I would say Synergy number 1, Master SS number 2, and then probably the crit damage ring. I'd probably go for those. Yeah. That's kind of how I see the value of the ring, because it is a big difference, right? The Chaos is 3.5k, and the Cosmos and the Vengeful, like you can buy the Cosmos, the Vengeful, and the Synergy. That's cheaper than only buying the Chaos.
Right. I was actually gonna ask where the Master SS ranks there in power.
It's the same as a fully stacked Synergy, yeah.
Oh, okay. Cool.
So if you have it on 5, so if you're just gonna get 1 or 2 characters, then yeah.
I think I have like 7 synergies across the account already.
You're starting to be like let's switch for drop gear. Oh, wait a minute, I can equip it because I already have 5 equipped kind of thing. Yeah, you already run into that.
It's more like I terror burned a character. I was like, yeah, that was really fun. I'm going to main this now. So I'm going to buy out the event rings. And then like a month later, I'm like, oh, I don't like it that much. Post 5th job.
Honeymoon phase over. Never mind.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well, at least you have something to fall back on if you need bossing mules, I guess, maybe.
Yep, exactly. That's what's happening right now. I'm like picking the Night Lord back up. I'm like,
oh yeah, so that's a solid class.
Crazy.
Yeah. You need your bind, but once you have that one and you pop all the other skills, it's like just mow everything down basically.
Yeah. Also, I have a ton of excess nodes now, and that like makes gearing bossing all.
Yes, that takes a lot of pressure off of the meso part of funding. Yeah, funding is really a holistic thing, and if one of those things is higher up on the rung of how much access you have to it, that clears the runway for the other ones to just lay low and not need to be addressed as much. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Also, compared to the Kanna, like getting all these other characters up to CRA feels pretty straightforward, because getting like IED
and crit rate are way easier on most classes, right?
It's like it's almost as if I have a real secondary,
Yeah. Exactly. You can actually commit your damage. It's crazy, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I guess the next thing I really want to like get into is just like, should I be going on this cube sale at all, or should I just be holding for star forcing events on the con? Because I have some really jank potentials. For where I feel like some of my gear is at. Like I'm like my next like star forcing goals, besides the arcane, is like just 21 starring from here on out, right? Like everything is 17, and so it's like, I'm starting to look at like Kanna rings to 21, the pink beam belt to 21, so I can transfer, right? And it's like tattoo to 21, right? Like these are like my next like big projects. I'm wondering if like that point where I'm looking to like 21 stuff is like when I should start taking a look at these potentials again, because like I don't even have like full 20 or anything,
Well, you were talking about not really needing that much damage on the Kanna anymore, right? So are you still talking about the Kanna, or are you talking about the Hoyoung at this point?
Oh, that's true. Yeah, I guess a lot of this kind of depended on
because
your answer. If high level Kannas are easy to find for Black Mage, right?
Like you can upgrade, but the problem is it necessary? Because there's always room to upgrade, right? The The difficult part, the qualifying part is this something that's needed for my account to be moving forward? Like again, like the pressure isn't as high on the Kanna to like in terms of like stat and damage, especially not in the beginning. It's mostly in knowing the mechanics well, surviving, learning the survivability, making sure that you communicate very well with when domains and binds. Well, not so much binds, right? That's really only phase. You have to do phase 1 properly, and that's still where people like Kannas very much, because it's a high level of security. If a Kanna does phase 1 well, then you basically have a completely free phase 1. You can essentially, it can be a little bit of a trick, but you basically want to get all the statues on top of each other, double bind them, and then they're bound very long, right, with the foot bind. And then that makes it so that you can have the rest of the team come in and just blow them up, and then phase 1 is just handy dandy, and that shit is done. And then there's no binding anymore after that, so after that, everything is just about making sure that your domains are on point, you put barriers, and that you use your trees to heal people when they get low in pinch situations. But that's pretty much it. Other than that, it's just like your callouts and survivability. It's like with most of the boss fights before, like if you do that properly, you can get into parties. But of course, the stronger you are, the more pressure you take off of the whole team. But eventually, you're gonna have to get everyone to not fall in line, but like everyone to perform, because otherwise the boss is just not gonna be dying. You can't have like one person just doing nothing. That'll just put so much more pressure on the damage of everyone else that you will immediately see, because then the morale, then the mental starts playing, and then that can be tricky. But I think if your goal is to where do you want to be to be I mean, if you're going into full arcanes at 17, and then I guess maybe get the top up to 21 as well, right?
Yeah, that top is cursed, I'm like 17, 18 bill into it. It's crazy.
I was gonna guess like how many have you blown up already? I guess it's one of those things that just doesn't go. If you have full arcane in 21 CRA and everything else is like 17 plus and with like okay potentials, I think you'll be fine. It might like depend on the party at that point to be like, okay, well everyone, right, and that's when you start doing your BAs and you just like check everything. It's like, okay, at this point like we can mathematically do it, but we want to start making it easier on everyone. What you'll probably get is that the DPSs are probably going to go hard on the summer event for like star forcing, if we get the special event, but in general also just 5s and 15s after the 20% reduction. People should start making some serious gains. And it kind of gets to the point like, are you recruiting like 20k stat people for normal Lucid that can probably clear, or are you recruiting the 27k stats so that you can have a 5-minute run, right, or a 3-minute run? That's kind of going to be the question of what kind of party you have. And the other thing would kind of be like the timers on the bursts and everything, right? If everyone's on 3-minute, then that's perfect for your domain. If you have 4-minute and 2-minute people, you might have a little bit of a desync. Might be a little bit more difficult to confirm your damage and everything. But yeah, then we're getting a little bit more into the depth of party composition and of build up for Black Mage and stuff. But I think damage wise, if you have like a committed damage, what is this monocle? What's going on here?
Yeah, I mean,
I just have drop rate and 17 all stat.
I'll re-roll it to full damage, I guess, at some point. But it was actually pretty decent stat for like compared to my other items, and it had drop. And I was like, oh, we'll keep it for now.
Is there nothing else you can commit to drop, and then because we have the cube sale, right? And then isn't today like a good time to commit? I guess the one jump that would be big would be like to get the bigger rings, right? Because the event rings are still really good for Kanna, so they're like equivalent 18 to 19, right? Somewhere in between. So you would have to jump to 21 to make it worth. Is that money worth it? I don't know. I don't think you probably necessarily need it, but it's going to depend on how much you will feel like you want it. How much you feel like, I'm kind of getting carried here. Or I think as a Kanna, it's almost impossible to quote unquote get carried, because just with proper barriers, healing, domains, and if you do that properly, you're probably committing more to the team than anyone else in the party can. Unless your damage is like absolute dog shit and you have like 10% IED and you're hitting zeros yourself, then maybe you can get to that point. But otherwise, if you do your stuff properly, you're going to be doing fine. And like I said, like if you're an experienced Kanna, you do your stuff right, then you know everything will be going just fine. And I think you should be okay finding parties. And then maybe hopefully within the guild we can start making some parties. I don't know, maybe you can pick 1 or 2 people from your current party, find, you know, some extra, and then round out the party that way.
Yeah, I mean, I found the current party actually through your Discord. I think 4 of them or something are already guildies, so...
Hey, the system works, kind of.
yeah, more or less. I had advertised, like, you know, 3 or 4 times to, like, try and find 6 people, but, you know, it's like...
Yeah, I guess that's unavoidable. Or you find enough people, and then the next week 1 or 2 already don't show up anymore, and you got to start swapping and filling. And
yeah, there were a few duds in there, but you know, it's like
yeah, it's unavoidable. I think
it's nice though, you know, just being able to ping like a whole channel of people who are interested. It's just like they signed up for the ping, so like you don't have to feel bad about it. And
exactly, yeah. It's like if you are annoyed by the ping, then sign off, you know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But yeah, okay, that makes a lot of sense actually. I guess. Then...
Because yeah, it's like possibly like for cube sale specific, it'd probably be look at glove, yeah. Depending on what kind of funds are you sitting on right now? Maybe that's a important part.
I have like 20 bill.
20, okay, yeah. Yeah, like you said, so usually in the beginning, you know, in the beginning you Star Force, but you only get up to like 10 or 11 or something like that. Then you mainly work on potentials, I guess, and then you just work on Star Force all the way up to 17. Then you work on potentials again. Then you work on Star Force again up to like 21, and then you work on potentials again. It's usually kind of like that, as a general jump, yeah. Because
is that like work on potentials to like get to 21 and then go to 21 stars and then?
Yeah, it's like 11 stars, 6% everything, and then WSE goes beyond, right? And then you get everything to 15. You probably get some uniques here and there. Then you get up to 17. Then you get some legendaries. Then you get to 21, and then you start doing like at least 2-line everything, but probably like 2.5. Then you start getting accessories to 3-line, and then you circle back to the WSE, going from 2-line to 3 lines, because those are, you know, a little bit more expensive but way more value. That's like the general progress of it. And depending on how much money you make, you can speed up that process, maybe skip some steps here and there, right? If you get carries and you get a drop, you can sometimes jump ahead. But in general, that's how it generally goes. And then you kind of decide when you make that jump based on what event is next and what comes around. So now it's logically a little bit tricky for people because there's the big cube sale. There's, you know, there was a 1+1, there's a 5/15, there's a 30% off, there's the summer, there's the, you know, not knowing what's going to come there. I think if you're just going up to 17 stars, I think it's fine to just use the upcoming 5/10/15 just to get those gains in and to keep going, especially people early on who need the damage to be able to keep killing monsters, right? You don't want to miss out on damage, then that drops your gains, and then you lose all the gains that you're planning to make by saving during the event. So it's kind of like a zero-sum game almost. So you might as well do it now then, because then you can at least take a longer advantage of the damage and do the bosses faster.
Right.
When it comes to like multi-character funding, then it's a little bit rougher.
Part of me is also worried about hitting Cernium and not being able to farm very smoothly, because I'm already noticing a pretty big drop in like my damage, at least when I swap to drop gear. Yeah, oh, for sure. Even in like Limina, so like it's kind of close sometimes.
I mean, everyone who moves to Cernium, I don't know if at this point people really move to Cernium like immediately at 260, but I'm pretty sure that people who do have to stay in full damage gear. You know, throw in like the guild skills, throw in all of the exceptional extra buffs that you can get to make sure that your damage is as high as it possibly can be. And then find a map that suits your character. A lot of people stay in Limina longer, mainly to keep making familiars. So I don't know in your situation if that's something that you are looking forward to.
I think I'm set on familiars. I probably need to still work on an IAD set, but I have like 7 inventories or something to roll through. Yeah, I don't know.
Okay. Wait, 7 inventories? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Okay. And do you have like a plan for making them?
Not really. I'm just farming in with the drop familiar and like rotating like 2 through or something. But
So are you leveling up familiars or no?
yeah, I am.
Okay.
So it's just like gradually. Sometimes I forget to like rotate them, you know?
Yeah, no, for sure.
It's kind of annoying having to like enhance them and then it just booms.
But you haven't like fused them and revealed them yet, or?
No, I am. Yeah.
Okay.
But I still haven't found an IED one. So I found 2 lines of percent boss. So I've like a 20% boss and a 30% boss.
Oh, okay. Nice,
and I have the large drop. But yeah, I didn't include it because I don't really have any questions about it. It's just a grind, right?
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, what lines you get there can kind of influence what you need on your WSE, right? Like,
Right.
let's say you find
I'll throw
like
that
a
into
40.
calculator at some point, I think.
Yeah, like if you find a 40, like if you do end up rolling 3-line magic attack on a Kanna, it can kind of be scary. And then, but then if you find a 40% IED or something, that's going to be like that's perfectly fixes that, right?
Right. Yeah.
So that could be cool. That gives you a bit more options.
Yeah, I think I probably need to find an IED one for sure before I go too far doing the WSE.
So you're considering switching the Umbra fan out for the Absolab Summoner, right?
Yeah,
Get that
that is
6 flame.
an option. Yeah, especially because like this flame was like really good. Like it has a lot of attack, but it like doesn't have percent boss.
Yeah.
Like I'm kind of yeah.
So you don't miss out on those beautiful stats. That's good.
Exactly. Yeah.
And if you get another one drop eventually, then you can switch out, and you really want to go for it, you can switch out your current quote-unquote fake one.
Yeah.
And then you just have to...
I have all the boss droplets for it. I just have to farm out the Meso to get another one, right?
Yeah, I mean, if you're really doing a lot of bosses, and you're gonna be doing Hard Lucid, Hard Will, right? And then you're moving into Varicella, and then you're moving into like Gloom Darknell. I don't know if you're gonna be doing all of those. All of those can drop the fans, and fans seems... I don't know, if you ask any Kanna who's like past 270, they've probably seen at least like 6 or 7 weapon drops. So I think it's probably the last one you want to consider buying, and you're probably just okay to hold this one until you get a drop and then just send that one.
That's what I was thinking, I think, more or less.
The only thing you need is a contingency plan from the crit rate, right?
Yeah.
But that's
probably gonna snipe a couple like Legion blocks or something. I don't know. Or I can pick up another 5%, I think, if I finish my Phantom Link.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's usually a valuable one for your entire account, but specifically for a Kanna.
Yeah. It's a work in progress.
So what was your question? Yeah, it was basically like cube sale stuff, right? So I think I would definitely try to get at least like the similar lines of your summoner on the fan. So you can just swap those out. The base magic attack is way higher, right?
Yeah.
So that helps with the conversion. And then eventually the Star Force will send it even further beyond. Even if it's only up to 17, that's just highly valuable.
Yeah.
That's like, what, 30 magic attack or something, right? 30, 35 magic attack just from the conversion alone.
Something like that.
Yeah, that's pretty big.
That's pretty good,
yeah, potential-wise, you still have some HP MP lines.
I have a lot of HP MP lines.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, your arcane stuff, yeah, you definitely need the Star Force, but again, the Star Force isn't like only up to 17. If you go too hard now, then you won't be able to use the next 5, 10, 15 because you won't have the money then anymore.
I'm actually not too worried about hitting 17 on these arcane pieces. It's supposed to be like average like 2.8 or something bill.
Yeah, it's not super crazy. What is the well, since you have 20 bill now, what did you last spend on? Like, what was your last project? Was it Hoyoung upgrading, or?
I was doing the I Star Force the CRA on the Hoyoung a bit. That was after I boomed the top on the Kanna 3 more times, and I was just like, alright, it's cursed. Let's go do something else. The Hoyoung like has 221 pieces, you know?
Hoyoung top is also cursed,
you know?
It looks like it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy.
Oh.
But, yeah.
It's got a nice flame at least.
Yeah, for sure.
A little bit better than the other ones. The top flame is not, the hat flame is not looking too hot. Compared Refer to the thing. Okay, okay. Yeah, just get an idea where you're, if you're playing a lot and then, okay, just 20 bill, yeah. So the weapon.
Yeah, I mean, the Hoyoung right now is like, it's just soloing Lotus Damien sort of thing, right? So
that's pretty fast, I imagine, right?
Yeah, it's pretty fast.
You don't even have guild skills.
Right.
That could be quite a bit faster on top of that.
Yeah, but then I have to do like double GPQ and cover. Yeah, I don't know.
Covered flag, yep.
I could just throw it in a party too, right? At this point, like it's strong enough. I think it's like 2 trill or something.
Mm-hmm.
With everything.
If you get all of your skills off, yeah.
Yeah. But I don't know. It's a little. It's a hassle, I think, to put another group together for whatever reason.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it'd make more sense to just graduate with your Kanna and then switch it out.
Yeah, for sure.
I think that makes it a whole lot easier.
Yeah, I need to work on Golux set for it though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's big.
Golux is a lot harder on the Hoyoung than it is on the Kanna.
I've heard that it's pretty simple on the Kanna, yeah.
Yeah.
And you have, yeah, and then you can commit more damage to the superior set, and then the IED pressure gets taken off, and then you can reroll your emblem, right?
Yeah, right now I have a lot of IED. A little crazy.
Yeah. Well, yeah, emblem like that early on is nice, but you do wanna look for IED replacements so that you don't have that pressure on it anymore.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Otherwise, drop in Mezzo, this thing's set too, right?
Not quite actually. So maybe that's what I should spend some cubes on this sale.
Mm-hmm. Cube sales like this are good for that, to make sure that your drop Mezzo sets are in order.
Yeah, I think I actually need to buy some of the event rings on this guy as well then. Because I think what I'm missing is actually 2 or 3 ring slots.
Yes, or you can use this as an opportunity to start graduating away from these rings, because since you're not a Kanna, you're going to be doing that. Want to be doing that a little bit earlier. So going into like Kanna treasure for damage, like you have the Kanna treasure, but like Kanna treasure, Meister, reinforced superior, right? Eventually, that's the set you want to go for, and then your the current damage rings that you have will eventually be rerolled for drop in Mezzo.
Okay, yeah, so I can just move now. Makes sense.
Now would be a good time to move over, yeah. And you could say, I take a small hit in damage, reroll them now for drop in Mezzo and on the current rings, and then start looking at, you probably have some kind of ring backups, and start working on getting to Meister for the Meister ring. Hopefully Golux coin-wise, you're not super far away, but you say you're working on Golux, so you probably want to be purchasing the pendant first, I imagine.
Yeah.
And then after that, the reinforced ring, and then you'll at least have like, hopefully one of these really strong rings that has at least 1 line of stat on it, and then the other 2 will be like good kind of treasure, good good Meister, and then the superior rolled for damage, and then that will be like your damage rings, and then one can get switched eventually into a reinforced once you get something nice there. But then you mobbing wise, you have a buffer on all the content that you're doing now. So now is a good time to take a little bit of a hit in damage without really seeing any negatives, but then increase your income, especially if you want to push this one further. If you're saying like, I'm going to keep playing the Kanna the whole time, and all my totems are going to go to the Kanna, and that's where all my income is going to come from, then there isn't as much pressure to go full drop in Mezzo. There's really only pressure to go like a decent amount of drop on the Hoyoung at that point, just because you want Dominator and Kanna treasure back up, so that once you throw all that money from the Kanna on there, you have things to throw the money onto.
Yeah. Okay, I think I am going to try and play the Hoyoung more though. Try and roll off the Kanna. So, yeah, that makes sense to me. I should probably finish out drop set. Going to Meister, it's temporary, right? Like, if I push Meister, I like have to maintain it somehow.
Yeah, you have to craft something that gives you any kind of mastery points within like an 18 hours, something like that time frame, yeah.
Oh jeez.
If you don't, it'll start slowly decaying. The decay is pretty slow. It's only like if the decay starts and you don't stop it and it just keeps going, then it seems like you very quickly get back down. But if you get into the habit of crafting something once or twice a day, you can build up a giant buffer as well. So that if you forget like 1 or 2 days, you could just build back up on the buffer, and it takes a while for it to go down.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and in
Meister's
Korea right now they're
+1 or
reworking it.
+2?
Plus, Meister's like
Or
+2. Yeah, you have Craftsman and
I
then
see.
Meister. Yeah.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, it's like the cubes, right? Like Master Craftsman cubes and then Meister cubes. So that's the Meister that you're looking for, basically.
I see.
One
Gotcha.
size bigger.
Yeah, I'm sure I can look up like a crafting guide or something for accessory crafting. Yeah. Well, what do you replace if you get like a Guardian Slime Ring?
Well,
Reinforced?
you replace the weakest ring, which is usually either the Kanna treasure or the Meister. The thing is, once you get to that point, just getting a slime ring is usually not great. Well, you want to have one, but like if you get a slime ring, it can be tempting to just get it to 17 and equip it, but it's a very small upgrade at that point. I think the only right path for a slime ring is to hold on to it until you have enough money and everything is 21, and you go for another and you take your 21 Kanna treasure or Meister that you've gotten a lot of mileage out of by then, and you transfer it into a new superior that you can afford at that point, and you get a 20-star superior, and you try to get that superior to 21, and then you transfer that into the slime ring.
I see.
And then, so by then you'll have 21 rings, and then basically whatever legendary ring you have, it just gets transferred in, and then yeah, the legendary potential is a little bit of a bust, but you've gotten your money's worth, and it's 21, and that's the more valuable thing to transfer over basically, and then you just hope that you don't boom 20 to 21 on the superior, because if that happens, it's a little bit of a yikes. But then you have those event rings that can, kind of cushion blow a little bit, but yeah, it's not the same thing, of course, but at least you have something to fill the slot with.
Right. Okay, that makes sense.
And you good on primals and that kind of stuff? Grand spell, essences?
I actually don't have that many primals. I feel like I should have had more by now, but I only have like 7 or 8, even though I feel like I've been going after flowers a lot.
You've been doing normal arc every day?
Yeah. Well, on at least one character, I do it every day.
Yeah. You haven't been doing it on 12 characters? Come on, bro. How else are you going to scale up? Come on, man. Legion coupons on all of them every day, yeah.
Jeez, yeah.
Well, that's where I like the large drop familiars, and just like having a big drop familiar, having good drop gear, and popping like a 10-minute coupon, or doing at least during the weeklies half hours, and just doing it on regularly on one character or maybe on 2. The amount of primals is gonna shoot up. You need so many attempts to get a single one that you want to give yourself every opportunity. 7 or something, it can already be more than enough, but it could also be just ridiculously unlucky and then be left with nothing. It's kind of still in the danger zone, I think. If you're going for 121, that's pretty confirmed with 7. You have to be so fucking unlucky to not get at least 1. Okay. But the idea is that you get 1 and then maybe you get a second one. Now with the Princess No dropping the Kanna rings, that pressure is off a little bit. Usually 1 is enough, and then the second one you can go for the Kanna treasure ring, or directly on a Kanna treasure ring and then transfer that one over, right? And then you don't have to dig as deep into the primals, and you can see the primals more kind of as like a transferable ring that you can give to any character in your account that you can get that equivalent ring on.
Right. Yeah, I've been getting pretty lucky with Princess No, or the Kanna treasure rings. The Hoyoung has like 7 or 8 of them already, so. Yeah, that's probably winnable.
That's a good buffer, yeah.
Okay, that sounds good then. I guess in the meantime, until I get a pap mark, whenever the hell that is on the Hoyoung,
yeah.
Would you just use like a black bead mark, or would you actually just use the monocle raw?
What do you already have? You have a monocle.
I have the monocle there.
15 with mezzo. Yeah, I never really considered the black beam mark before, because I always felt that by the time I had all the drop in mezzo gear already, and I had already built up the dineros, that's usually like the first time I would get a drop for a beam mark, and then it'd be a little bit too late. So I think it would depend if you get one or not. If you get one early, then yeah, you can use it. I mean, you get the set bonus, pretty decent flame, it can go higher star force, and then you could basically take the pressure off of the dineros. It's kind of interesting in general how we went from needing so many dineros for everything, and then for backups and for multi-backups and for transferring and transposing, to now in the future, technically, like, you can go black beam mark the whole way, kind of ignore the monocle. And then if you get an eye patch, you don't even ever have to deal with a monocle, provided you get lucky with that one, right? And then for the tattoo, you know, if you get the Lucid and Will drop and you get, you know, you go for drop rate on the Zakum stuff, maybe you have enough damage through other things that you don't really need to get a tattoo yet. And if you get the drop from Will or Lucid, and then you use that one with the set bonus from the Slime Ring if you get it, right? Then you don't have to deal with that transposing anymore. It's really only to min-max the slot for the pendant. But if you get a Source of Suffering drop, then you don't need that anymore. So if Pitch Boss actually dropped, then Sweetwater would actually, the whole area would kind of be completely out there. But the thing is, because the drop rate is so bad, you can guarantee yourself another upgrade that is not the best, but that is pretty close and that is severely better than whatever else you can get. So it's kind of like a safety route to go that way. It's a more guaranteed way of moving forward rather than the super high chance and probably, you know, road paved with disappointment way of trying to get pitched boss pieces. But the options are there, but it kind of shows you how that, you know, the whole system is kind of built around not needing Sweetwater because, you know, KMS doesn't have it at all, right?
Right.
But so yeah, there were options for transposing. There's options for transposing the tattoo with that piece if you want to, but with Slime Ring, then usually it's not advised because it ends up being a downgrade because of the set bonus. Yeah, so I'd be okay with you have an epic aquatic letter eye accessory, and I think that's fine. To push beyond that, I think it'd be fine to do a black beam mark if you have it. And then if it ends up rolling like drop and mezzo, then I guess it becomes a drop and mezzo piece for a bit, or drop or if it's just drop or mezzo, you can roll over that, right? If it's just one line, if you'd be like, I want either drop with stat or maybe with like drop with 9 or 12%, or with 15% or something, then maybe I'll keep it. Or if it's double drop double mezzo, I'll keep it. Or I want at least like 23% or something. You know, you can put that barrier a little bit higher if you're, because you know you're not early game anymore. Like your account is definitely moved into the mid to late game, so you can be a bit more, what is it, demanding, I guess, with your outcomes.
My first Sweetwater pendant transpose rolled double meso on the Kanna. It's actually very tragic.
You have to make another one though.
Yeah.
It was hopefully the flame wasn't too insane.
It wasn't that crazy. I settled pretty early on it. But...
Yeah, 16.5 with HP is probably pretty decent though. Yeah, I like how the the transpose give plus 15 HP. Nice.
Yeah, I think it's like a 110 or something. You know.
Yeah, that's definitely solid. Not like. It
was a pain to get
breaking
though.
bad. Yeah, no, I imagine.
Get a couple bill, and it's like, you know.
A couple
the other ones come easy though, right?
Yeah,
it averages out eventually.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So that's like the eye, the face. I guess that makes sense for the Hoyoung? Yeah.
I think, okay. I think I mostly just needed some background on like what endgame Maple looks like in terms of like population, right? That helps me out a lot. And I also just needed to like get some of my thoughts straight, on, like what priorities should actually be, because like somewhere in the back of my head, like I keep on wanting to throw more funds on the Kanna, but just because like, you know, that's instinct, right? Like, the arcane gear is there and it's juicy, but yeah, I think if I want to like orient myself, like I'll probably only be staying on the Kanna until like June or whatever, when the Kishin nerfs it or whatever. And at that point, I'll probably just try and full swap.
Okay.
For the most part, Kanna will be just like a strong bossing mule.
Yeah, I can
earn some sparks on it, you know.
Yeah, you could get to maybe to like Vericilla, right? And then you can
that'd be cool.
Essentially, you could get into entry and you could do practice runs. And you could just do practice runs once practice runs come, hopefully in June, and then you don't even have to consume your keys, but you can learn the mechanics, at least a little bit of how the boss goes already way before the Hoyoung is at that level. But then when you go into it with a Hoyoung, you won't start at like ground zero. You'll already have some experience of how the mechanics are and everything, right?
Right, yeah.
And if the party goes really well in practice, you could say like, oh, I could actually run on the Kanna maybe at 260, you know, doing absolute dog shit damage yourself. But if everyone else is strong enough, then maybe you can just get carried in that run. And then if someone else is like, oh, I want to run on my Kanna now, then you just plop your Hoyoung in there, boom, and then you've already paved the road, you've already made the connection, and you already know more of the mechanics, and then it's an easier way to get in there. Maybe you do 1 or 2 practice runs with the new composition, and then you're on your way, kind of thing, right?
Right. Yeah. I feel like the practice tool will probably change a lot of the landscape, right? Because now it's going to be a lot more accessible for people to learn the mechanics.
Yep. Well, and what you'll probably see with people around your level as well, with the Kanna, people try to get to 260 or 265-ish so they can kill Hard Lotus and Hard Damien by themselves. That will, you know, that's definitely another step of upgrading right past, because then you're looking at like at least 17 Arcane with good, like, solid 2-line and pretty much 3-line 21 everything else. But then you can start exchanging those. Like you're doing your regular runs for like the eye patches and berserk and stuff, but you can basically just start getting all of your boss mules basically free abso for just tagging along on pretty short runs. And that can help you fund those characters way faster than having to do all the weeklies all over the time. So that's more of how you can also see your value as not just a strong bossing mule for yourself, but also for your whole account.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. Actually, I completely forgot that Hard Lotus Damien drops just raw abso.
Yeah.
Weren't they gonna add something soon to like make getting abso easier, or are they just increasing the number of coins we can get?
There's a KMS increase in coins, yeah. Instead of 12 per week to 20 per week. But even then, it's just 1 coin per week per character, right? So if you want to get a full set, that's still 7 characters weekly. I don't know about you, but I don't want to do anything except for doing those weeklies. I'm at the point where I don't even like care about exchanging because I never get abso drops anyway, no matter how many runs I join. So I just completely skip abso.
Gotcha.
If you want to jump on that train, then you need some Legion work. You need that to be a lot bigger. You basically want to jump to 8k Legion.
Yeah. I'm thinking at the pace that I'm playing at, maybe I just wait for Terror Burns. I'll just like try and commit every Terror Burn to be, you know,
sure.
to like a 200 project.
Well, yeah, and beyond, right? Terror Burns are great to turn into bossing mules and to get to 220 eventually, right? Get all the extra nodes, and you get the free CRA stuff that lasts so long that you can very easily get into CRA yourself with it, earn your own perma gear. You don't have to worry about carries, exchanging anything. The characters can do it themselves.
Yeah.
And once you have more characters that can do CRA, you could, exchange with other people if you want to on more characters, even if the runs are a little bit longer, but then you have some options to move around.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Okay.
You have plans for Legion to make that jump, or is that something?
Not particularly. It's not like I was on a Legion grind for like a long time. I think I like mass grew from like 20 to like where I am now. Over like because we had that one like carnival event and we thought it was gonna be super good because you could get all these bonks on your characters, and it ended up being like, I don't know, you had to farm an awful lot actually.
You getting the bonks now? Because there's like 66 or something available, right?
Yeah. I'm using them on the. I think I'm gonna send them on the Evan. My Evan is not 210. So.
Yeah, just under. I see.
Yeah, it's I'll get it there. I'll do some monster parks like this week, and then we'll send it all the way up. And yeah, I think if I'm gonna even start to consider tackling 8K, I should get the Evan for sure.
How does that marksman have like a level? What is it? Level 110 bow? Is that what he has?
It's a job change. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh yeah, it's definitely a Pathfinder. I can see it now.
Yeah.
Now it's all making sense. That's why you got like a shitty bow just to have something to be able to equip.
Yeah, as soon as that change came through, I just job changed my Pathfinder.
Nice.
I was like, this is worth.
Yeah, you got to do another Pathfinder to like.
Yeah, so I just have another Pathfinder in the works. Yeah.
Oh, I see. And you have Beast Tamer and Zero, yeah.
Yep.
Zero. Solid name.
Very creative.
Yeah, incredibly creative. Yeah.
Oh my god.
Way better than mine. Dow's Mule 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all the way through 27.
Yeah, for sure. I think at one point I want to become a blaster main, but
Yeah.
holy moly! By the time I'm done, you know, with the Hoyoung, I might be too old to play it or something. I don't know.
Arthritis will have set in.
Yeah, something like that.
People play Blaster on controller, I heard, to make it more manageable.
What the heck? I mean,
Yeah, the ergonomic shape of the controller apparently makes it more intuitive to like learn the key combinations and to especially to press multiple buttons at the same time versus a keyboard.
I can see it.
Yeah.
I guess.
Especially if you have to like hold for a while, right, while you do something else, and then hold it a while while you do something else. It makes more sense because like you can use your thumb and you can use both contact points of your thumb, right? Whereas if you're doing it with keys, with multiple keys, I don't know, like it's something you have to learn. If you're very good at like rhythm games, then you're probably fine with that as well, because you learned that a lot, right? Like holds and tapping and like double taps and all that stuff. So kind of depends on what you're used to. But I've heard that as a suggestion. I don't know if you have one lying around, if you want to give it a go. There's like combo videos out there.
Yeah, maybe I will. Sounds like fun, to be honest.
Yeah.
I don't know how the mapping would work, but I mean, I'm sure Blaster Discord has it all fleshed out.
Oh yeah, they probably. I don't know. Like you have those class discords that are super welcoming to new people because they want everyone to play it, and they have those class discords where they're like, yeah, this class is actually garbage. You shouldn't be here. Go play something else. Where it's like it starts off ironically, but it ends up actually really turning off new players, which is probably not what you'd want, right? You'd want new people to experience the horror that you did. But
or you get the discords where they're just like spreading propaganda, hoping that they get their class buffed.
Full copium.
Like, oh yeah, we're super weak. You know,
Yeah.
need more iframes.
Oh yeah, buff hero, yeah.
Yeah.
DS is actually super weak right now, guys. Copium, yeah.
Yes, yeah.
We need some buffs.
Okay.
So you feel like there's some gains to be made, some more, you know, like probably like 260 on the Kanna, but then you're gonna fully Hoyoung.
Yeah, I think so.
I think that's all. It's kind of
No.
you'll have a lot of opportunity as well for like Varicella and maybe for Chaos Tenebris if that party moves to that point. But if, like you said, you don't know if everyone's going there. So if people are moving slower, but you're like standing still, then slower moving is still gonna pass you, right? So eventually they might be moving to that content, and if you get a handle on regular Tenebris bosses, then Chaos is definitely harder, but you just need the DPS to DPS harder, basically.
Right.
To kill it in fewer bursts. But, we don't know how much power creep is going to be in by then. You know, your sacred symbols on everyone, the stats there. The Destiny changes is probably going to make a lot of classes a lot stronger, even if the content stays the same. You know, the whole clearing of the contents can be a lot faster. Maybe the restrictions for Black Mage runs will actually go down, and that will seem more reasonable to actually start working towards. And technically, you can get into Black Mage at 255. You know, people who have new up-and-coming characters will start, getting carried on Black Mage runs at 255 because they're basically carrying people on their liberated 285s, right, on the other characters.
Jeez. Yeah,
that's basically what we talked about with HMAG, but then, so you have like the CRA exchange, right, to give your, well, in the beginning you have like Hilla and Zakum, like Chaos Zakum and Horntail exchanges, right, to get your mules some accessories, right? Then the second step is like getting everyone's CRA and getting like HMAG capes and that kind of stuff. And the third step is taking people with to carrying people in Lotus and Damien, followed up by doing the hard bosses and getting people's mules in there so they can just get the equips directly, so they don't even have to worry about the weeklies. The step after that is basically duoing or soloing hard Lucid and hard Will to just pump arcanes out on all your characters, so you can even skip Abzo on those characters. But the step after that is duoing Black Mage essentially on like liberated weapons and taking a bunch of people with you, and then getting your carry your characters starting at 255 carry that black mage, so that by the time you get to 270 or 275, you're already pretty much liberated on the character.
Yeah. Wow.
And then
It's
the cycle continues, basically. So depending on what level of game you're playing and how much you're playing this game, you will be in any or in all of these stages at any given time.
Great. Cool.
Yeah.
It's a rich get richer scenario, huh?
Yeah, yeah. Well, and the other thing is that once that ball is really rolling to that level, you start really feeling like, wow, somebody who doesn't have any of these things must not be paying any attention or must not be working at this, because it's so easy, you know, but it's... The amount of initial investment to get to that point is insane, of course. So if you're just starting out, yeah, it's a tough ball to get rolling. It's the who was it again? The guy who had to like roll the giant ball uphill, and then once you're over the tip and it starts rolling downhill, then yeah,
right. Oh.
Then it's almost impossible to not get super. Yeah, you just log in, do a few things, and you make another 2 bill. Oh, you make another 3 bill here. Oh, you do some bosses, you make another 3 bill. Like, you know. It's almost impossible not to make a bunch of money with whatever you do. It's like Monopoly, right? One person just gets lucky in the first 2 laps, and they just win the game. And then they can give all their money away, and then two laps go by, and they have it all back, you know? System specifically, you're on top of everything, right? Because, I mean...
Yeah, I'm not worried about systems at all.
Because, I mean, since we've already done 2 sessions, it would mean that I suck at explaining if there's still stuff that was completely foreign to you at this point.
Yeah, yeah. I think I was mostly just looking for what, like, endgame looks like, sort of thing.
Yeah, the balance between stuff. Yeah, endgame means different things to different people. I think for the general people, endgame at this point is, like, solidly having, like, a Chaos Tenebris party, like clearing Varishilla and Chaos Gloom. Maybe Hard Darknell, but that's a really annoying boss. Maybe just doing normal Darknell just for the sparks and everything, and then like working towards a Black Mage party. That's like the end game. Really, that's the end game for, I would say, probably like the top at this point, probably like the top 10% of players or something. Most people are never really gonna move past doing like Hard Lucid and Hard Will, with probably getting kind of carried in there, like probably not quite meeting the requirements or playing so inefficiently that they're not doing their like 1/6 of the damage. That's probably where like the other 90% are going to max, well, probably like 40%, and the other 50% are like maybe going to see normal Lucid ever, you know, but they're mostly going to hang out and wear NX clothes and sit around in Genesis and chat in Discord, right? But that's fine too, but when you look at the percentages, like the amount of characters that are over level 200 is still like, I think it's a single-digit percentage, or it's just barely double-digit percentage of all the accounts that exist, which is still crazy, right?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of people who like tried Maple and just never made it past like 4th.
Exactly.
Go, you know?
Yeah. So you're looking at like percentages. Are you doing like the percentage of people who play for at least 1 year and who play at least 10 hours a week? Well, yeah. Then it's all over the place. Then it's completely different, of course.
Yeah. I feel like where I'm at now, I guess maybe this is like mid-game or something, or like early mid-game, but according to like a progression chart, right? I feel like there's like a Kanna like everywhere. I always thought like maybe they're just super common, you know, even like at all stages of the game.
They are, yeah, but again, a lot of them are farmers, and they will seep into the other content because they exist and because they are a level of funding and they have access to the content, and they will still be used as such. But I think when it comes to actively being played and logged into on a day-to-day basis, once the changes go through in the summer, we'll see a steep decline, and they will definitely still stay like you said, like very good bossing meals, but they will probably primarily be used to like exchange carries and stuff like that, because they can do that very well, right? They can bind the boss for very long, so even on weaker characters they can hop around the map and not be as scared of getting destroyed by a bunch of stuff. Right, and if they have that level of funding, then they're probably, for most people, and you saw this in the, what was it called, like the Legion Arena, right? For most people, they're still like the second strongest character in their account. The further and further you go, the more people have side characters that pop up and that get way stronger. But for a lot of people, the Kanna is, well, up until shortly, a lot of people's Kannas were like the strongest character in their account. They'll have like a 240, 245 Kanna farmer, and their main will be like a 220 something that's still getting funded. But yeah, for most people, it'll be like number 1, number 2, maybe number 3 in the account, and then we're gonna have to be weaning off of that in the coming months.
Yeah, but it means that we'll probably find one for our party pretty.
Yeah, I think so.
As long as
the
DPS is there. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, if you know the mechanics, if you're experienced, that's usually more important. And then some people will very, very heavily like harp on, well, max domain, right? But you have that. A lot of them will just harp on having a certain amount of stat. But people who have experience and who have done multiple parties, they're always looking for experience. And if you have the experience, that gets you in. If you have max domain, you have experience, like you can start trying. And then if you prove yourself on the first run, you're good.
Yeah.
You're, and that's why when people are like, oh no, stat badge, potential badge, and it's like people are not gonna scroll through your equips and see, oh, you don't have a potential badge yet, and you're not allowed into the party. Like that's never. And if that is a thing, then you dodged a bullet because you don't want to be in that party. That's toxic as fuck. Because people have their priorities completely screwed up. Yeah.
Okay, well, cool.
Yep.
I think I'm good then.
Yeah.
I don't have any.
Let me scroll through everything. Yeah, just scroll through the whole thing. I don't know if you had like a list of things that you wanted to definitely get out there, but I mean, you started with your questions, right? So I think you.
Yeah. There was like a weird flowchart in my head for like where this would go.
Okay.
Mostly had questions along the lines of like, if it turned out that I did need to be the Kanna player, right? Because
yeah,
it's like
what character do you feel more comfortable with, right? I mean, and like I said, some people will end up doing both. It might seem weird now and impossible, but some people will end up just being like in 2 black mage parties. It'll just become like the new normal. It's a little weird that you're like, oh, because it's like 8 months, because it's a monthly and 8 months of running and everything. But when you think about it, like how long does the average person run normal Lucid and normal Will before they get like all of their arcane pieces on a character? It's maybe not 8 months, but it's several months, right?
Yeah, I mean,
it's not.
Our party hasn't actually been going that long. We graduated from normal Lucid and Will to hard in like the course of like 2 or 3 months.
Yeah, and that process is only going to speed up, and with every new character you have, it's only going to speed up because you know the path of progress, you know where you're going, you have more accessibility of resources in your account, and that whole thing is just going to go faster and faster.
Right. Yeah.
Hopefully it stays fun, and hopefully it stays engaging, and hopefully the people along the way don't get like left behind, or you get to pick people up with you, right?
Yeah.
That's usually the fun part, is that you can see other people going like through the same transition and be like, oh shit, yeah, or you can see them doing it for the first time. You're like, oh, I remember, the first time is slow. Don't worry, it's gonna get better. It's gonna pick up, I think Destiny might change quite a bit as well. That a lot of classes that you see never now. I really hope that the balance changes. That like Kanna is going to be way less played, necessarily almost, and that a lot of other classes that people are kind of just looking down on or are saying like, I don't know, I don't really like them. That those will see way more play, and that the entire balance of what classes you see and what is a party composition. Like right now, my party with my DA has so we have a Bishop, a Phantom, a Lara, a Kayn, a DA, and an Ilium, If you hear that now, it's like, wow, that's like the reject party almost. Like that's like everyone who couldn't find a party smushed together. But that party, kills the bosses just fine. And I hope that we see more. It's not like, oh, what is the party? Oh yeah, so it's a Kanna, it's an Adele, it's a Night Lord, and then and then the other 3 like don't really matter because you have those other 3, so the boss is dead basically. If the other 3 just like
dead,
don't spend the whole run like just picking boogers out of their nose, then the boss is dead. I want us to completely move away from that, and basically just because you see a class, don't be like, oh, they're probably getting carried, or just see class is like, oh, they probably just had a free ride the whole way. But every class is like, oh, this is all a class, and they had to work for it, but they were able to because they have a good kit and they can do the content. I hope that we get closer and closer to that point.
Yeah, our party has an Arn and a Jet, so we don't discriminate.
Yeah, I mean, I must say Arc is also like, I didn't really pick it for any of the reasons, but Arc is probably kind of high up on that list as well as characters that does have, gets a lot of stuff kind of for free.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to pretend like that's not a thing. So I really hope that the changes that I saw to Angelic Buster make people more happy that they're playing that, and more outwardly inviting for people to try it out as well, compared to now. Because like about the attack progression, right, on their main attack.
Yeah.
That's just going to be like a regular attack, and like a interrupting, makes you kind of float in the air, kind of lock in place and get pushed around by bosses kind of thing. I hope that makes it more enjoyable, and then more approachable for characters, for people.
Yeah, for sure. I watched one of my friends play it, and I was like, this just looks clunky as fuck, man.
Yeah, I did Project CRA on it. It wasn't terrible, but it was like, man, this could be so much better.
Yeah, for real.
Just better, just more enjoyable. Yeah. And if it's more enjoyable, then you don't feel as you want to log in more. You want to play it. You want to get further. You want to share with other people. You want to show it to people and be like, hey, look what I could. It's like MapleStory itself. If MapleStory is like constantly crashing, all the channels are garbage, then you're not gonna invite your friends to play. You're not gonna be like, oh yeah, I play MapleStory every day. It's so fun. Like, you're not gonna tell people. Just like, you're kind of ashamed of it. Like, people don't need to know. But if it's actually rolling properly, it's getting good updates. It seems like the devs care about the players a little bit, they care about the quality of the game. Mm-hmm. Then the whole atmosphere around the game changes. It's not like, oh yeah, it's this thing that we do, but we're all like fucking nerds, and we like it, but we totally understand that no one else likes it because it's kind of garbage, but we're in too deep, so we kind of stay in here. And instead of that, it's more like, oh, it's actually fun. We enjoy doing this in our free time, and it actually is enjoyable, and you should try it too.
Yeah, I got one of my friends into Maple too soon, I think. He came and played. It was like going really hard, and that was like 3 or 4 months ago, right when like the servers really hit rock bottom.
Yeah,
right?
That was bad. It's like, yeah, you gotta play, like, just not between these times and only on these channels. Let me give you a list. It's like, oh boy.
Oh god.
Make sure you always have your task manager open so you can see your RAM. Always relock before these things. Yeah, never CC. Don't go to MVPs. It's a DC trap. Yeah.
Yep. He'd be like, oh, MVP. I'm be like, dude, it's a trap. Don't go.
Don't do it. Oh my god, I just got MVP CC'd once and I crashed. Told you. And then it's almost like your fault for getting just bum rushed by the game not properly working. Yeah.
God. Yeah, it was unfortunate for sure.
Mm-hmm.
The servers are though, since I like started playing actively again, like.
Yeah.
So.
I think they're the best they've ever been when I ever played. I think. Way back in the day, I think the servers were also kind of good, but back then you had jupers would constantly channel crash to like packet edit and jupe and shit. I don't know how it exactly worked, but they would have to like crash the channels to trigger like short rollbacks, and then because of editing, they could make it so that they had the items from before the rollback and after the rollback, so they would double up basically. So they would just constantly be doing that in all the channels, so the game would just close all the time, just by people. So it was either that or then just very, very laggy. Then we had the loot lag saga. I don't know if you were playing during that time.
No.
It was like every single monster kill. We think what happened to the code is that every single monster kill and every single item you looted basically checked all of the existing quests in the code to see if it would count for anything.
What the heck?
So we'd have that like that database search delay on every single item. So you can imagine now if you're Kanna farming, right? How many bags of mezzo on the ground? If you walk over that, the game would just like freeze for like 30 seconds. And if it was too much, the game would just close because it would just like overload. And that was with every single thing that you looted. So it was just impossible to play.
It probably scales with like how many quests you have accepted too. So like,
yeah, so
you're one of those people who just accepts every quest. Like,
yeah, there was something. I don't know. People found some weird solutions. And then there was also some maps that would do that, where there was like a part where we had to go into the event hall because the NPC was there, but there was another NPC there that would like check every fucking quest to see if they needed to trigger on anything, and it would just progressively lag your game until it just came to a standstill, and you would just like crash out of the map, or your game would just be permanently frozen and you'd have to alt escape out of it, and your character would be like stuck in the map forever. So some people just couldn't access certain quests because of that. And that's when I started taking some NPCs out of that map and then fixing them, yeah. So they had to get rid of... Whoa. So now you see when you do a kill quest, it doesn't automatically add a single kill every single time you kill a monster, but it like checks every 5 seconds and then updates the number instead.
Mm-hmm.
It's because that was like their workaround to make that not happen anymore, because then the game was also unplayable. And then it was the server instability. Then they added the channels that made the added channels basically shit, or like the odd ones or the even ones, and then yeah, I think now we're actually in unprecedented times of playability in the game, I would say. Now we just need with Destiny, I think the Maple Guide update, I think, is going to be pretty big. That's being updated so that new players can get a little bit more of a sense of, you know, where to go and what exists, and not be as thrown into the deep end, because it is an old game with so much content, and the more welcoming you are to new players, the better to stay alive, stay afloat, keep your head above water.
Yeah, right now I just link them your Google Docs.
Yeah. Yeah, try to keep those up to date, yeah.
Well, quest to do, all that jazz, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, when are we getting account-wide, like, boss quests, Arcane River quests? Is that, like,
it should be in Destiny.
Still coming?
Yeah, it should be.
That should be Destiny.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh, thank God.
Mm.
That'll be huge.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be so happy.
Every new character just walking into an arcane, like, you don't get the XP, I guess, for the intro, which is, I think, only even noticeable in Vanishing Journey, right? If you do the whole thing, you probably get like 30% or something.
Yeah, I didn't even know that gave significant XP. So.
Yeah, but for the other ones, it doesn't even register. You just want to get it done. You just want to start getting to the dailies, you know. So being able to walk into like Morass and immediately do the dailies and sit through that whole thing again, like, but it being optional, right? Just give options. I want that for so many things. I don't want it to be gone, and I don't want it to be mandatory. I just want people to have the option whether they want to or not. The downside is, of course, a lot of people like have the option and like auto skip explanations on Starforce and all that stuff, and then they're like, there's so many systems, I don't know how any of them work. Well, yeah, okay, either you didn't read or you auto skip them, which I don't blame you to do, but then you can't come afterwards and be like, it's not explained properly. Well, it is, you just didn't listen, you know.
Yeah.
So gotta find ways to make it more palatable, I guess. So hopefully the Maple Guide and all of that makes it a little bit more that people want to get into it and people want to learn it, and then makes more sense, hopefully.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that'll be nice. I don't want to do Pink Bean on any more mules.
Yeah, those requests. Yeah, I did them on all my Project CRA characters just to get the pocket slot, because I wanted the 9th set on all of them because of the boss and the IED, because it's pretty important that early. Now in hindsight, I probably didn't need to do it at all, because of the final damage change. All of those characters got so much stronger. But
yeah, I actually noticed that too, because when I was doing like even on the Hoyoung, like the final damage change hadn't gone through yet. Then like on my next time through, like I did it on a hero. I was just like, wow, I'm like killing Von Bon like way weaker.
Yeah,
than before.
yeah.
I was like,
definitely, yeah. The level of funding that you need. Because like, yeah, because you often take like how strong you are based on the level of your funding, but how strong, because that's technically true, but there are a bunch of factors that you can overlook in your funding that are just passively there, that really have a big effect on how much money should you spend, how many nodes should you open, you know? And sometimes it's better to just start a little bit low and just give it a try and see how far you are, because the level of skill you have and level of experience with a boss you have allows you to get so much more efficiency out of the limited funding you throw into something, that you might be able to do what you were planning to do already with way less money invested, and then that leaves that money more free to flow into other places, because that is a finite resource.
That's especially true. Like the player skill, like you just upgrade every time you go back through. Yeah.
Because you get faster on a boss pretty much every time, even if you don't make any upgrades.
Yeah, true.
Because there's just fewer and fewer situations that are like, oh, fuck me situations. There's more like, oh, I know what to do here, or oh, I'll just be a little bit extra careful instead. Right.
Except when someone fails tests, and then we're a little slower.
Yeah, well, yeah, in the beginning, it's like, oh, someone fails a test, it's like, oh no, now it's going to be Cascade, oh, now there's going to be webs everywhere, now we're going to fail like at least 4 of them. And if you get further into the game, like somebody fails one, it's like, yeah, whatever. Like, it's not like we need those 14 minutes in phase 3 anymore, right? Like, we could pretty much just like blow them up in 1 or 2 bursts. So, you know, as long as we have like 6 minutes, it's fine. That pressure is, and then when that pressure is off, like what I mentioned before, like that, the mental doesn't need to come into play yet. Was when the mental comes into play, and that was very much for me in the beginning of Black Mage. Once the mental comes too much into play, then that starts holding you back, and then that cascades into failure with everything else, and then then you kind of like stop trying to care because you don't want to care, because then you get upset, so you don't want to get upset, so you stop caring. But then when you stop caring, you stop performing, and that's not particularly helpful. I
guess one question related to bosses actually that I did have is Will phase 2?
Yeah.
When he spawns the webs on the sides of the map, is there like an actual like timer for that? Like you happen to know off the top of your head? I don't know.
No,
Is it like every 30 seconds or something? Or?
If I had to guess, it'd probably be something. I'd probably be like for Black Mage there are some timers, but there's stuff like this happens every 35 to 68 seconds or something. Like that'll be like unironically a timer for some stuff. So sometimes there are timers, but it's not particularly helpful. If you say 30 seconds on the webs, that sounds, I would say like it's probably closer to 45 or something. There's usually about 3 webs in between every test. Test lasts 20 seconds every 2 minutes, so it's like 140. So like 3 webs over 140, so that's like 35. Yeah, like 35 seconds. It's probably something close to that, but it's more like you look at his animation and you know that if we just had a web, then you're free for a little bit. But I don't really know that timer. It's
gotcha, yeah, because we're running to this issue now since we have like more control over like our damage and whatnot. Or like we can be like more like relaxed in like when we do pushes and whatnot.
Yep.
We like wait for the webs to disappear before we push tests.
Yep.
But then on the second test, we always have webs come up.
So is that like, after you fail one, or?
That's without failing, yeah. Just
without failing. So the thing that you can do is that in the first phase, it's every 2 minutes, there's the check, right? In the second phase, there is the check only if the HP bar was empty before and has already checked before, or if you are or only then the check starts, or if the 2 minutes have passed, right? Whichever one comes. It's not whichever one comes first. That's in phase 1. In phase 2, both conditions have to be met. So if, let's say that you get him down to 0 HP and the 2 minutes have not passed yet, there's no test. Once the 2 minute comes up, if for some reason he gains 1 HP, the test doesn't start. It only starts when both conditions are met. So what you can do between the first part of phase 2 and the second part, before you trigger the second, is make sure that there's at least 2 minutes passed since the start of the first test. And then if there's a web, then hold your damage, make sure you don't finish him off, and just play safe. And then when the web is passed, then finish him off, and then he won't be able to cast the web during the second test of the second phase.
Oh, I see.
You could just delay it a little bit. Delay it by like 10 seconds. Or delay it by 15 minutes if you have to, but make it safer. Yeah.
Right, I see. Okay.
Or
so we can trigger the test at like 2:30 or something.
Yeah, exactly.
I see. Okay, I didn't know that actually.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it was another party I was in also. Well, it's not that they didn't know, they just never really considered it as an option. They were just like, oh no, the timing is off. It's like, well, you can extend it by like 30 seconds, or just after a web instead. And they're like, oh, we never even considered that as an option. Yeah, you can just slow down the damage a little bit. And usually that organically kind of happens because if you blow your load in the beginning, right, because you're trying to get into that test immediately because it's like phase 2 annoying with the healing reduction and everything. A lot of people have stuff on cooldown, and you only have your 2 minute buffs up anyway, and you want to kind of save the bigger buffs anyway for the beginning of phase 3. So it's kind of good to take your time in between the first test and phase 3.
Yeah, we were kind of just pushing through, I think.
Yeah.
Like sub 2 minutes.
Yeah, so maybe Yeah, well, it would have to be sub 2 minutes. So if you know that you're getting, so someone has to check the timer on the first tests and exactly when that is, and then you add or you subtract at least 2 minutes or a little bit more, and starting then you want to push if the webs are gone for the second part of phase 2.
Yeah.
That'll make it a lot safer because then you make it so that you don't die as easily. If you die, then it becomes harder because then you kind of forget the timer on when does the test start again exactly, because then both conditions are met, right? He's still at 0 HP because he's not getting healed, and the 2 minutes are over, and then both conditions are met, and then the test automatically triggers, and then you have no control over the webs anymore.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah. That'll make it way easier for us.
I think it'll give you a little bit of breathing room. Plus, there's actually less pressure, and you'll take longer, but as a result, you'll have less chance of taking longer.
Yeah. our success rate on tests with no webs up is like super high.
Mhm.
We're actually really good at that now.
Yeah, with
But,
webs,
like, if webs are there, it's just like people panic, right?
Yeah, exactly. You need one person to panic just a little bit too much, and the whole test is fucked. And then you can cascade into multiple failures because then you don't know if there's going to be a web or not. Or you might be like, test starts, oh, it's free, and then he somehow still summons the web right after the test already started, and someone was already in the corner, and then it's like, okay, now it's not really my fault because what the fuck am I supposed to do? Hold all your iframes? What if I don't even have iframes? Right? Yeah. If you have a shadower, I don't know if you have one of those, but they can put the mist fog. I always forget the name. Shadow, whatever the fuck. They have like a fog skill, right? Poison cloud. I always forget the name. Why do I always forget the name? Anyway, they could put that over the web, and you could just freely walk over it. So that's pretty safe. And people in dark side can walk over it. But smokescreen, thank you. And there's a bunch of ways like teleportations, iframes that you can kind of, work. But yeah, if you just wait an extra 10 seconds, that's way safer for everyone involved. Yeah.
For sure. Yeah. Okay, cool.
Yep. Well, glad we could still bring that little part up there at the end to help you out, even though we were kind of almost like filling time at the time before it. Yeah. But yeah, I'm sure that you're...
I'm just happy to do it, man.
Yep. But I'm sure you're getting tired at this point. Oh, it's Inability reroll today, right? Have you given that any thought?
I mean, it's not like I have a whole lot of honor XP. And it's like I could roll for like, I guess, 10% drop or something on an epic. I don't know.
Yeah, well, depending on the functionality,
sort of feel like
right?
I should just start holding for doing like the find a unique and roll back the legendary strat at some point.
Sure. It depends. Like, so if you're like, okay, this character is just gonna like farm up to 260, and it's gonna basically stay like a training / whatever character, and this one is not going to be doing the damage or soloing the highest level of the bosses, right? I'm not really gonna go to that point that I want to just blow up Hard Lotus, Hard Damien fast for that exchange stuff. That's not really something I'm interested in. Then you can kind of settle within the current one and actually, like you said, go for a little bit of drop. If that is an option you want to keep open, then you're just fine to keep whatever you have now and just to hold your honor experience. Yeah.
I see. Okay, yeah, maybe I will look for some drop then, because that makes sense. I'm just gonna like short term 260.
Yeah, just a little bit more nodes, right? Yeah, to help those bossing mules a little bit.
Oh,
maybe some droplets. For
droplets.
Yeah.
For the Hoyoung. Oh god.
That's gonna be a big jump there, going from the fake Abzo to like a real arcane. That's I like making those upgrades because that's just a whole new world of damage opening up for your character. Yeah.
That's that juice.
Yes, it's a big juicer upgrade, 100%.
All right.
Okay. Well, good luck with everything, and you know where to find me.
Yep, for sure. I'll be back when the Hoyoung's ready to go to Arcane, you know?
Okay, yes.
Then we can talk about all those questions.
Yeah, that'll be fun. And we can see how the game has changed at that point, and where the limits lie there. Because I'm sure we're going to see a lot of moving, like tectonic plates of funding are going to be all over the place. Yeah. But yeah, good luck.
It'll be interesting.
Yes, definitely. And have a good night, I guess. Sleep well.
Yeah. All right, have a good stream.
All right, thank you. Bye-bye. All right, he stayed up later so we could do the session, so I think it's like the middle of the night for him. So yeah, that is, I guess for his specific situation, the help that I would advise. Of course, everyone's situation is a little bit different, but if you are in a similar situation, you can use that to your advantage. If you would like to have one of these sessions as well, check the description of the video or leave a comment saying that you would like to win, including your Discord name so I can contact you in case you win. Not too many people leave comments, and not too many people are competing for those free spots. I give 2 away every month. Last month I gave 3 away. So, it might be an easy way for you to pick up one of these sessions. And then you just hit me up and we plan them. For all the other stuff that we use, we didn't really go through all of the sources here, but if you've seen more of these progression sessions, and do check them out. I've got a bunch of them on the channel for various situations and from various times and for various classes. You will see that I go through a lot of commands from my chat, and all of these are freely available through the Twitch chat, so make sure you check those out if you're interested in those. Some of them link to YouTube videos, some of them link to wiki pages, some of them link to resources that I've made like this one. and they'll be of various use to you. So I will see you live on Twitch if you're checking those out. I stream there every day, so you might see me live as well, or I'll see you on the next video. Thanks for watching, and have a good one.